Yo guys, welcome to The Last Lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
If Cadillac Andretti came calling, Blake, we're setting up in the UK. Do you want to come back?
No.
Not even for...
No. Not even a glory run for like 2 seasons? No.
Would anything ever convince you to go back? Do you think that kind of... you're content with that part of your life being...
If somebody on Twitter fully does expose me for being a fraudulent engineer that doesn't know what they're talking about, I might...
From their armchair.
From their armchair. I might have to consider going back, but I'm...
Just proved them wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hi.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything to prove. I don't think I'm not that interested in it right now. Like it was, it was like when you do something for a long enough time, you're like, it got to the point where it was like vehicle dynamics for 8 months, trackside for 6 years, then moved back to the factory, not staying out at the track to try and be a race engineer, chief engineer. I was like, oh, I want to go do development. Did that for 6 more years. And you learn that what you don't want to do anymore. And I think being a content creator with the background like that is a pretty interesting thing. And I'm nowhere close to exhausting that. And if I go back to a full-time job now, it'll be difficult to come back to this again. Right now is the time in terms of my life to try this. And if it gets to the point where it's like, right, we're going to have a kid or something like that, then I need to go think about that. Right now is not the time for me to be doing that because, content creation is a financial risk, especially getting started. And is it going to work or not? I don't know.
But I think like the audience is ripe. Like you've grown massively since you started, and you've got to think like, what do you think is the biggest? I don't think I've asked you this before. It's like, what's the biggest misconception you think general F1 fans have? Because as someone who's been on the inside for so long. And now you're on the outside and you've got the same perspective that we all have. Obviously you've got contacts, so you've got a little bit more information, but generally speaking, you don't have like much more information than a typical fan does now.
No, exactly. The only thing I have is the experience of being there. But one thing I will say is people think that Formula One is this super refined science, right? And like they know exactly what they're doing. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Like you've got this thing of things that you know and things that you don't know. And, fans assume that teams know everything. And there's like a little sliver of stuff that's uncertainty. Realistically, the uncertainty is very high. That's why you see teams like Mercedes showing up last year, going from the fastest car outright to 3rd place in no man's land. That is uncertainty. That's, decisions. That's gut feel. And a lot of that's tools and everything else. And yes, they miss those, but teams aren't perfect.
I would strongly encourage anyone like listening and watching, if you can because I know some teams do like tours of the factories. Yeah. Like even just going on a tour and just walking around and just seeing people who are working for, like it definitely, like I've been really fortunate. I've been able to go to a bunch of teams now and see in person and say we're at Williams yesterday, and just seeing staff and personnel just going about their days and doing their like. It completely, there is definitely this myth, I feel like, this impression that even I had before I went and saw a team in real life, that they just have everything, they're on top of everything. You forget about, at the end of the day, a business, whether it's an F1 team or anything else, is just a bunch of human beings.
The human factor is completely underrated.
We're flawed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what also makes it interesting, because if you could rock up every year and the team always has the best of the best, you wouldn't see people going from McLaren winning championships to being 4th, Williams from winning championships to, sliding down to 3rd or 4th and now all the way to the back of the grid. You wouldn't see that if there wasn't the human element in that. And I think that's what makes this pretty awesome. And at the same time, you've got huge collections of individuals. It's not, it's not a team, it's a collection of individuals making this happen. And maybe you only see this or that face, but there's 400 to 900 people involved directly with that team, and then all the other people involved with making the sport happen. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So
let's talk Williams then.
Yeah, you two were at the launch yesterday.
Yeah, man, it's fun.
That was very
How
cool.
was it, first of all?
Yeah. We got there. They had some food that was laid on. A lot of strawberries. I had about 5. I'll when it comes to a buff, I'll just pick. And everyone turned up. It was mainly kind of mainstream journalists.
So it's TV, magazines, websites, and then
Us bums got invited along.
But like it was cool. It was a very interesting selection of gaming creators, Formula One creators, presenters, everything else that are not necessarily involved in the mainstream media that were extended a little invite to come share that event, and it was really cool.
And I think it's nice that teams are starting. Like I know you've worked with teams as well. Like being more open to people who have a platform, because everyone can have a platform now with social media.
Yes.
And it's like just, fans, and we've all got our own different perspectives. Like you used to work in the sport, but you're also a fan, that you cover it in your own way. We're fans in our own ways. And it's like,
exactly.
It's nice that the teams are starting to embrace that, I think.
Well, they're understanding that, we have reach to people that them as a team and their partnerships and their brands, they're like, come join us on this journey and see what we're about. And they can reach the people that want to know what does Niran think, what does Tommo think about stuff.
Yeah, and completely different audiences as well to like the mainstream media as well. Like obviously you're going to have completely different people that read the magazines that those certain like journalists were representing or that write for, and then in comparison to like you guys or like some TikTokers that were there as well. And you just want to kind of reach as many people as possible. So it's good that they are giving us a chance.
But they
get me.
Yeah,
the random.
I'll tell you what the weirdest thing for me was. The weirdest thing for me there was hearing an American accent on the stage introducing their drivers. It's like, wait, it's another American in the sport, Mr. Sargent.
Yeah.
Not the only one. No, so because we got kind of ushered into the room, and then they had the car draped over Alex Logan, and then they had who I didn't recognise the two Williams people actually. I think one of them was from Dorilton, I think, who's one of the top dogs at Dorilton. The other guy I didn't recognise, but they announced golf.
Yeah, and then the guy from golf was there.
Yeah,
that was interesting to see back on a car again.
It was, and a bit of again, if I did know, I probably wouldn't be allowed to say, but I don't know why golf have gone from McLaren to Williams.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of talk in sort of the build-up of things that people were saying online on Twitter, especially of like they knew that golf was kind of happening. They knew there was like a bit of a partnership there.
There was a leak.
Were we going to get a golf car like delivery? And like obviously Arab, who I live with, had like convinced himself. He was like, "Yes, it's going to be a golf car." And it's like, and I was like, "Okay, fair. If you know more than me, bro." And then obviously it ended up being basically the same car, or the same livery,
with the branding prominent but not dominant.
Yes, yeah. That's good. I like that. Bars. That's good. Prominent but not dominant. Put a beat behind that. That's a single.
Write that down.
Right.
Copyright that.
Get that in the notes.
But copyright.
They would be silly not, because that golf McLaren went down so well when they rolled it out in Monaco, and they didn't do a golf McLaren last year, did they?
No,
they did that in 21, and that went down so well. So it's those kind of things where a car is a billboard.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
that's what it is. That's all it like. Visually, you just have to. How do you maximize the exposure of your sponsors? And by doing a one-off livery,
that's the one.
Makes sense. But yeah, it was. What did we make of it? Because obviously we got to see it in person. I thought the renders looked fantastic.
Yeah.
The renders, definitely looked shinier. Like in real life, it was very matte.
Yeah, there was like the floor was lots of exposed carbon, bits of the wing, but it wasn't like, a lot of people are worried that we're going to end up having like, really, really dark liveries because people are not painting bits because they're trying to save weight. But at the same time, I thought the renders definitely looked a lot sharper.
Yeah.
But the car looked good. Here's the thing. The Duracell roll hoop. I swore that was the first time I've ever seen that. Apparently, that was
Miami.
Several races last year.
Yeah, they've been running a lot of time last year.
If anybody shows me a photo of anything last year, I'm convinced it was a deep fake, and I've never seen it before. It's not real.
The composition was slightly different.
Up in the order to get exactly. You know what I mean?
But the idea, and because I think that race they had Duracell on the rear wing as well, like along the. So obviously that was a one-off where they decided to really push Duracell. But yeah, no, it's like. I've definitely warmed to, because it's not that different to last year, obviously, but there's a few slight changes. Like there's a little bit on the side pod that kind of goes up, which I quite like, and it kind of comes together. I think they've, even I'm more happy that Williams have been consistent because they've chopped and changed so often. It's like if you want to build an identity,
You do
like we've seen with Red Bull.
Yeah.
You kind of do. You can
and
evolve
it rather than like just change it. Because we did have that where obviously we had kind of like the Aqua Fresh Williams, where it was sort of like white, red, and blue.
Yep.
Did they change that halfway through the season?
Well, no.
Went
So
to
you
the
had
white and
you had
blue
Martini
one.
2018. You had
Of course,
blue and
Martini,
white.
blue, white, and
Rocket.
red. Rocket. Was that for Kubica's
2019.
season?
Yeah. That was Kubica's
say.
first
This
season.
is all blur to me.
And then there was just a white and blue one,
And then that got canned.
Safina, and that got canned. That had that was Latifi's first season, I want to say.
Yeah.
And now they've just done the dark blue.
White's gone now. It's like
Yeah, I guess it just shows that they're like the partners that are coming to the team have quite a bit of influence because they're able to buy the whole branding of the car.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I still find it quite interesting because the Williams doesn't have a huge amount of sponsors on it.
No.
Still got a big empty side pod.
See, so this is what I was going to say. Like realistically, if you're getting Gulf as a sponsorship, like an iconic brand in the world of motorsport, and then just putting it like a circle on the
In plate.
on the nose, and you've got the whole rest of the car, not really doing anything in terms of like branding. There should have been really scope, I feel, to do a little bit more with it. But again, as you said, like I guess keeping that consistent branding was maybe more important to them.
Yeah, and also again, it kind of shows that if you like, we want because obviously all F1 teams want more sponsors. It's a no-brainer. It's free money.
You see some of the cars in teams, it's just like literally logos up and down the nose. Like the Alpha looked like that. There's lots of names on it. Nothing super standout, getting huge chunks of real estate other than a couple. But it was like lots of stuff. But there's an interesting thing about that, about how teams get revenue from that. And it's looking at how often is the team or the car in the feed, and that's the bannering and the garages, interview spaces and everything else. But then as far as the car itself and the team kit, it's like how often they're shown on TV, which shots are most prominent and which logos get the most real estate or most airtime or most visibility. And that's another one. But Williams clearly looking like they've left. They're looking for more sponsors.
Yeah,
for sure.
clearly.